All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at Google Drive organization, help you get more organized in Google Drive, use it more effectively. So the very first thing that I would do, and this is totally personal preference, but I would come in here and I would turn off this quick access. The reason I would do that is because it shows you the top 4 most recent files that you've been working on. I would get rid of it because if I need recent files, they're right here under the button that says recent. The other reason is it takes up ton of space. On a smaller screen, it would take up even more space. So you can click turn off, or you can come up to settings and go into the settings here, and there's an option to turn off quick access. So I'm just going to click turn off, and that's going to go away. And so now let's take a little bit more look at the layout of our Google Drive here. So first of all, I have all my folders in the list view, but if you want to see them in the grid view, you can come over to this button over here and pop them into the grid view. Some people like to see that better. It's really completely personal preference. I'm a list view kind of person, so I'm going to do that. And then I want you to take a look over here on the left-hand side. There's this, it says My Drive. So when I want you to think about this is like your house. You're in charge. You can organize things. You can move them wherever you want. This is your stuff when it says My Drive. Now the section down here called Shared with Me, this is where any files that other people have sent to you and shared with you. Now what I want you to think of with this is that the Shared with Me section is like Goodwill, basically. Goodwill is a store where other people come in and they dump off all their other stuff that they don't want, okay? So you would never go into Goodwill and think, oh man, I need to organize this entire place. Now, if you bought something from Goodwill, you could take it home and you could put it into your house, or in this case, into My Drive, and then you could organize it and put it where you want. But there's no hope for organizing the Shared with Me section. It's like Goodwill. Just leave it alone and ignore anything. Don't worry about trying to organize it. And pretty much, I mean, with recent, that is, again, the same thing. It's just the most recent list of files. There's no organization here. It's just your recent list of files. And then you can also star files for organization. If you know there's the top 3 or 4, 10 files that you use all the time, you can put a little star on them. Let's see here. You right click and you click add a star, and then that file has a star. It shows up in the starred. So those are some basics for Google Drive organization as far as that goes. And then as far as actually moving the files around, one thing that I like to do is all these files that are out here straggling, I don't have very many, but they're not in any folder. So I call them being in my root. So when I'm clicked on the My Drive, they show up and they're not in any folder at the root, the kind of the center of the drive there. So the first thing that I would do is I would just click on new, and I would make a folder, and I would just call it random and hit enter, or hit create. I'd come over here and I'd select all these files. So I'm going to select the bottom one, hold down the shift key, and then click the top one. So that lets me select all of those, and I'm just going to drag them into random. So you can do that however you want. You don't have to do it that way, but that way when you do go into your Google Drive, you're not seeing a bunch of those random files just hanging out there. Obviously, if they do go in a specific folder, you can move them around. And then if you like to see kind of the folder structure, or the kind of the tree structure a little bit more, you can use this drop down arrow over here and keep building out your folders as that goes that way. But for now, basically, once I've gotten that, then I would just start creating the folders, and I would put them in order based on how important they are to me to use. So you can see I already have one here that's labeled 01 Tech Training Demo Folder. So the 01 means that when I sort these alphabetically, that one shows up. So for my next folder, I'm just going to come in here, click New, click Folder. I'm going to type 02 and Math, and click Create. And then that one shows up next. So I'm just going to, just drag a couple random things around. So let's just assume that this one goes in Math, and this one goes in, let's see, I don't want to move that one right now. I moved it somewhere. And let's just do this one here. So I moved those into Math. Now let's say I need another folder. So I'm going to do New Folder, 03, Language Arts, Create. And then I'm going to say this folder and this folder and this folder, those belong in Language Arts. And then I would just keep going down through that path, making new folders, and I could call these staff meetings, or just, maybe it's just anything related to things that are policies or procedures or things we do in the building. I could say all of these apply to that. I'm going to drag those into staff meetings. And so then I have my top folders or so that I use the most are organized 01, 02, 03, 04, alphabetical order. And that helps me keep those organized that way. So that is my process for organizing them. A couple other things you can do. I already showed the starring option. So again, that's right click and then add a star. And so that moves the files, the most used files, into the starred. A couple other things you can do, you can right click on a folder and you can do change color. So if you're a color coordinated person, you could do it that way, and that way you get a nice couple different colors showing up in your folders that way. So some people like to do that. But yeah, using the colors, using the stars, and then using the alphabetical by putting the numbers, those are the main ways that I go about organizing my Google Drive. Okay, a couple more things I wanted to show. I had mentioned before about the concept of if you bought something at Goodwill, then you could take it home and move it into your house. And this, like I said, Goodwill is like the shared with me, and the My Drive is like your house. So what you can do is when you are in the shared with me, if there is a file that you want to organize yourself in the My Drive section, you can come in here, right click on the file, and click Add to My Drive. I'll just do another one here again as well. Then you select a file that's in Shared with Me, right click Add to My Drive. Both of these files have been added. Now it pops up right here where you could actually organize it directly. So I could click on Organize, and I could say that applies to math, and then move here, and it's automatically moved to that place. If I don't do that, which is the case with this Google Slides presentation here, then that slide just stayed, like I said, at the root of my drive, but it's still in my drive. And then once again, I can drag that wherever it needs to go, and I can stick it in this folder, and then it's organized that way. So once again, that if you're in the shared with me, think of that like Goodwill. You go in, you find something that you like, you're going to need to keep it, you want it organized, you just click on it, click Add to My Drive, and go ahead and move it over to My Drive, and then you get to organize it. And then the last thing I'll say is, it's some people don't even bother organizing really hardly at all. I do keep a pretty good structure of folders, but a lot of people will just come up in here and just start searching for things, and it will go in, it will find things. This folder, obviously it says algebra, but searching for math, it found the word math in that PDF document to pull that up. It found the word math in this screenshot folder right here. So it is digging deep into everything that you are looking for in the files. The search is pretty fantastic to find things. So yeah, some people don't even really organize that much. They just search for everything they want, or they use like the recent documents because the most recent ones are what you're working on. The search is very powerful. I can come up here on the search options, and I can say only search for photos, and I can specify certain people that I want to search for. Actually, you can come up here and you can type somebody's name, and I can say find all the files that are owned by somebody else if you know they shared a file with you but you can't find it. So the search is very powerful for helping you find things as well. All right, I hope all those tips help you organize your Google Drive better. Thanks.